Well, Kirby Smart's happy with Gunnar Stockton, Matt DeBerry, but he wants it to go just a little bit farther. Here's what he had to say on Monday. He said, I want to see Gunnar continue to grow, take what the defense gives him, and understand what they're trying to do. We give Gunnar a lot of latitude and options in terms of the play call. It's just more about putting us in the right play to be successful based on what they're in defensively. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that decision-making process. Every play might have 2 or 3 decisions he has to make. And those 2 or 3 decisions sometimes determine the outcome of the play. I'm really proud of his growth. He's got to keep doing it and keep taking care of the ball. When he does that, we're a good football team. For the most part, Matt, that's been Gunnar this season.
Yeah, safe, efficient, winning football. He's made big throws, he's made big runs, and he's not turning it over. So this is exactly what Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo were trying to get out of him. And he's been there for a while now. This is his 4th year, right? So he does know the system. He understands what he's doing. Now it's about making those in-game decisions because, again, he's got to make 2 or 3 pre-snap and post-snap. So there's a lot that he is asked to do, and I think he's done a good job of that. One example was against Ole Miss. It was the touchdown pass, Ryan, to Nate Frazier, where he wanted to throw that slant to someone. It may have been Noah Thomas. It wasn't there, so he quickly adjusts, sets his feet, and gets it out to a wide open running back for the easy score. And it's stuff like that where if he continues to play just winning football consistently, they're going to be tough to stop down the stretch.
Yeah, and that play you're talking about, that's an adjustment that Gunnar made. Earlier in that game, he had a similar route wide open and he didn't take it when he could have. So I think that, they look at the film and he sees that that's probably going to be open the next time and he just goes ahead and hits it. I think with him, he's not making a lot of mistakes, right? It hasn't been, I guess, high end half the time where look, he's gashing people for 400 yards. He's got a couple of pretty high end games when you think about his performance against Tennessee and Ole Miss, but he limits the mistakes. Still only 2 turnovers this year, that 1 interception against Kentucky, and then the strip fumble against Alabama. I'm blanking on which team that was against Alabama, I believe.
Tennessee.
It was against Tennessee. Yeah, I knew it was earlier in the season. So there's that, and his running ability has completely changed this offense, and that's another reason why they're pleased. All offseason, over and over and over again. We want to run the football better. Last year wasn't good enough. Last year they ran for fewer than 1,800 yards in 14 games. Through 7 games, they've got over 1,300 yards this year. It has been significantly better, and a large part of that has to do with the fact that you got to respect his legs, and they have options with him in the option game.
Make sure you're checking out Sales Hatch. Why? If you own a business, they're going to help you connect with the right people out there that you need to talk to. And that's the hardest part of all of this, is getting to the decision makers at companies that you can help, at companies you can collaborate with or work for or work with. That's the hardest part. I know that. I've dealt with that. It's challenging. Sales Hatch can help you talk to who you need to talk to so you can finish closing deals and go back to, working on your business. Gunnar Stockton's business has been, like Ryan said, I believe he's had 14 touchdowns and 2 turnovers this season.
17.
Is it 17 touchdowns?
Yeah, 10 passing, 7 rushing.
Okay. So a significant, in the correct column, I guess you could call it. DJ Lagway coming in this Florida game, Matt, has got, I think it's 9-9 or 7-7. I think it's 9-9. So 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Now he did have a 5 interception game against LSU, which is kind of hard to do. But even then, if he's not making that mistake, he's getting sacked consistently. Florida has a hard time functioning on offense. If Georgia goes down there and is functional, it's going to be challenging for the Gators to hang in there with them, I think.
Yeah, going back to Gunnar quickly, I think the mistakes that he's making isn't necessarily, the turnovers. Obviously, he hasn't made a lot of those. It's not pulling the trigger on an open guy down the field and instead taking off and running for maybe a 4 or 5 game. It's not a bad play, but he's not letting it rip a little bit to a guy open 20 yards down the field. The 2-point conversion against Ole Miss, he had a wide open Cash Jones, could have been a conversion there, but Lawson Lucky, I think, was open immediately on his route, and Gunnar just didn't get it to him quickly. and then he has to escape. So it's that type of stuff where he could maybe play just a little bit faster and kind of trust himself and trust the receiver. But he's made some big throws down the field. And again, he's playing winning football and he's really efficient, especially on the ground and in the red zone. This is a really good team when they get down inside the 25 and the 15 and they can run the ball with Josh McCray and with Gunnar Stockton. They can be real dangerous. So first downs lead to touchdowns. And when they're rolling on offense and they're moving the ball, once they get into the red zone, good luck to whoever's trying to stop them. And then a lot of it is because Gunnar Stockton is playing really efficient, safe, but also winning football. And we're seeing it week after week after week. I expect him to have another really nice day against the Gators, especially if they can continue to use his legs. He's rushed for a touchdown in 5 different games, something. It's several. Big part of the game plan. I think we'll see more of that in Jacksonville.
Yeah, a couple of things. One, I think the red zone rushing ability from Gunner has been, I think, his best trait all year. It's been dangerous. You see him do the Superman dive against Auburn to close that game out. That early red zone run against Tennessee to answer their offense. It's been a very dangerous part of the game for Georgia. Where look, once they get down there, they have options and they have a few different things that they can do. The other portion with him that I think people have almost forgotten at this point. He is older. This is year 4 for Gunner, so it's not like he hasn't been around. He started 8 games. He's been the guy for 8 games, and he's played in probably about 9 total games when you add the rest of his playing time up in college. He's still growing, right? He may be 21, 22, but he's still growing. And I think you're seeing that almost on a weekly basis, taking, a little bit more with the shots, being a little bit more careful with the football, knowing when to tuck and run. You're seeing the progression throughout the season. He's way better than he was, even against a Marshall team where it was easy. But I think he's better than he was when they played Tennessee and they asked him to do a lot and he made the plays. He's certainly better than he was against Notre Dame last year and against Texas when he just got thrusted into that situation. He's still progressing. This is not Garrett Nussmeier, who you expect a lot out of, who's played a lot of football and been around for a long time, or Cade Klubnik, who in a similar situation. He's a guy who hasn't started a full season of football yet at this level.
Yeah, well, but you can tell. I think you're right. I mean, he's light years from where he was when they played Notre Dame. I mean, he just if Florida can get pressure on him, I think that would, if you can get pressure on any quarterback, they're gonna have a hard time. So that's one thing. I don't know if Georgia comes firing right out of the gates on this one because the way they play. That's the thing I think people are kind of missing here, Matt. Is that the way that Georgia plays? They are not necessarily at all a quick strike offense. They can be, but why would you start the game that way? That's not your style. A couple of things that y'all were talking about. The Gators are. I mean, there are certain things they're really struggling on in terms of what they're dealing with against Georgia will be kind of challenging. Their offense is really the number one issue for them, more than any one thing. Offensively, though, the thing that sticks out to me, Matt, Florida's third down conversion on this will help. This should help Georgia. Their third down conversion, they're 127th in the country in third down conversions on their offense. That's really bad. And if Florida does not take the momentum of the Billy firing and get off to a good start, if Florida gets down 10-0, I think it could be really challenging. I've seen Georgia beat Florida in this situation before, the team that is certainly the underdog, the team that's not the better program. And when you go down to Jacksonville, you're looking for hope when you're that team. And sometimes you can find it. I don't know that hope hangs around for 60 minutes. But in this case, the Gators are going to have to get going. I don't know. Bringing pressure against Gunner means you're blitzing typically, which means there could be some gaps that are open, which means somebody can take off and run for 5 yards and convert a first down. That's the chance. That's rolling the dice. But you could also sack him.
Yeah, well, you have to roll the dice because you have to find a way to create negative plays and possible turnovers. That's the only reason, or the only way I think they can stay in this game. But if you're Georgia, right, you don't have to be explosive offensively. You want to, control the time of possession. You want those long drives, not because you're trying to keep that bad Florida offense off the field, but you want to wear down that defense. So if you have a long 12, 13 play drive and you finish it off in the end zone, and then the defense can get an early stop against their offense, then that defense is coming back on the field. So I do think winning the time of possession is key. Winning the run game, still, that's what this game is about to me. Florida's got, I think, some good individual players, but they don't have the ingredients for a winning football team. And I think Georgia does. And it starts with that run game, controlling the clock, controlling the game, and wearing down on that defense. If they can start wearing them down early in the game, man, that fourth quarter can be what we've seen several times down in Jacksonville, where Georgia just punishes them and just sends them bruised, packing on their way back to Gainesville. So that's something that I could very much see happening in this game down the stretch.
I think that every Georgia game is going to start with that. Can they control the run game? Can they win the run game? Can they control the clock? It's a big part of the plan for this team and the way that it's built and structured. So I think that it starts there. They have won that in every game except for the Auburn game. I don't remember what Auburn's total rushing yards were, but they've
They
won the
outran
rushing
Georgia.
battle
Yeah.
in every game. They even won it in the Alabama game by a large margin. That was obviously a game that ended strangely and was dominated by a couple of moments there by some younger players that ended up flipping Alabama's way. But I think it starts there. Florida's going to have a hard time. If you're Florida, you let the bag of tricks out. If you've got them, you let them all out in this game because you want to win a rivalry game. You want to try to right the ship a little bit. Gunner hasn't been under a ton of pressure this season. He hasn't been blitzed a ton. The offensive line's actually done a pretty good job in pass protection throughout the season. There's only been a couple lapses that I can think of. So I think, like we talked about in a different video, this is going to be difficult for Florida to win and probably difficult for them to keep it close.
All right. We'll see you after the game on Riding Home. Thank you.